Hello everyone. Today I want to address a question that's been on my mind for the last few months. The question is, what is strength? I got this question in my mind when I was working out in the Calisthenics park and I was training a friend of mine to get his first pull-ups. When you're getting into pull-ups and you don't know how to do them, you start by doing negatives. Negatives are when you jump up and then you lower yourself slowly. And while my friend was doing these negatives, there was another guy at the Calisthenics park who was in very, very good shape. And he said, "Wow, that guy is strong." And in my mind, I didn't understand why he called him strong, because my friend could barely do a pull-up. He literally couldn't do a single one. All he was doing was just these negatives. And here's this guy who thinks that he's strong. So this got me thinking, what is strength? And why did he call him strong when he couldn't even do a single pull-up? So while thinking about this and analyzing it, I realized he called him strong because he was going very hard. He didn't give up when it got difficult. He didn't just drop himself. He was very slowly lowering himself, even though it was getting very hard, and he was doing more and more and more sets. So even though he might have been physically weak because he couldn't do a single pull-up, he was actually pretty strong to keep going and keep trying. So that's what I want to talk about in this video. I want to talk about what is strength and where does strength come from and how you can use this knowledge to your advantage. So conventionally, when we think about strength, we think about being able to move a lot of weight, being able to resist an external force. Now, this idea of strength it's a good definition when it comes to the physical, but where does it come from originally? And how can we apply this definition to different sports? Because I can take a powerlifter can squat 500 pounds, and of course, everybody would say that he's very strong. There's no debate. You can say this guy is strong. But then if I ask the powerlifter to try to run a marathon, he's not going to be very strong at running the marathon. But a guy who runs a marathon in 2 hours is also very strong. So is one of them weak and one of them strong? Or they're both strong? I'm confused, right? What is strength? Is it just being able to lift heavy weights? Is it being able to run for a long time? Now, what about the guy that can fast for 7 days, right? This guy is not doing anything physical at all. He's just not eating for 7 days. Can you call this guy weak because he can not eat for 7 days? I don't think so. I think that guy is very strong too. So we need to broaden the definition of strength, because strength is not simply being able to run for a long time. It's not being able to lift a lot of weight. It's not just not eating, right? There are so many different ways that we can think about this word, strength. Strength is something that comes from the inside. Strength is something that takes a very long time to develop. And your ability to develop this attribute will greatly influence your life. You will have a lot of positive benefits from developing the attribute of strength. And I think it's a mistake to think of strength in only one dimension. We need to think of strength as a whole, as a holistic thing. And strength is you being able to overcome the obstacles that are in your mind. Now, a lot of people say, "Oh, this guy is mentally strong," right? But the thing is, what does it even mean to be mentally strong? When I'm pushing myself, my mind is the first thing that wants to give up. It's not my body. My body might feel tired, but the body sends signals to my mind, and then the small talk starts. "Eugene, what are you doing? Turn around, go home. This is too hard. 5 sets left? Are you crazy? Give up right now." This is the mind being extremely weak. I don't know, maybe this is just my mind, but I tend to think that the mind does the same thing in everybody else too. So it's not about being mentally strong. It's about overcoming your mind and overcoming the body. Wherever that strength comes from, that's what you need to tap into. It is a strength of your will. You have this desire to do something, forget about mental strength, forget about physical strength. It's about the desire, it's about the will to do it. You have to overcome the excuses in your mind. You have to overcome the pain in your body. And this is where you tap into that inner strength, and you use that inner strength to achieve your goals. Now, of course, some people, they're born and they have a predisposition to have a very strong will, and they can overcome a lot of adversity without much effort. But this is not the case for everybody. For myself, I used to give up very early whenever things would get challenging. It took me many years to get better at having this strength of the will. And the way you train this is with progressive overload, just like anything else. Not just progressive overload of lifting more and more weight over time, but slowly challenging yourself, doing things that are difficult, getting out of your comfort zone. That's how you push yourself, and that's how you develop this muscle of the will, the muscle to overcome the excuses in your mind, to overcome the pain in your body. And this is why doing high volume calisthenics is actually very beneficial, not just from a physical strength perspective, not just from a mental strength perspective, but it trains the power of the will. Because if you say to yourself, I am going to do 500 push-ups, and I'm not going to stop training until I get these 500 push-ups no matter what. I'm not going to spread them out throughout the day. I'm going to get them done as quick as I can. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to do 200, and it's going to be feeling pretty good. You get to 250, you're starting to get a crazy pump, doesn't feel very good, but in your mind you're still going, okay, I got this, no problem. You get to 300, your mind starts tapping out. Your mind says, dude, we've done enough. My muscles are exhausted. There's really no need to do anymore. We're getting into the junk volume. Science says you don't need to do this. There's no point. Stop right now. That's your mind being weak. That's when your will comes in. And you say, I said that I'm going to do 500. So I'm going to do 500. And those last 200, from 300 to 500, are an absolute grind. Your mind is screaming. Your body is screaming. It's almost like you have a whip, and you're whipping your mind and body to get it done. And you just keep going and going and going. And by the end, you did your 500. You defeated your mind, which is actually the weak link in my opinion. You defeated your body. Your body is just kind of a slave to your mind. It does what your mind says. And you feel amazing. You have a victory for yourself. And right now it was 500. But you didn't start with 500. You started with 100, 200, 300. So you're slowly training your mind, and you're slowly training your body using the force of the will. And if you apply this, you will get physically strong. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. If you're going to do push-ups, you're going to do high volume, you're going to do it with short rest intervals, you're going to be strong. It's going to transfer over to your bench press and whatever other strength feats you want to do. But at the same time, you will develop the strength of the will. And the strength of the will is the most important, because that transfers universally. Now, I've been testing myself in new ways, and lately I've been getting into fasting. Some people think fasting is all about losing weight. I don't think so. I don't fast to try to get shredded. Fasting or no fasting, I could stay lean year round. For me, fasting is kind of the next step in training my will, because your body gets very hungry, right? So let's say you're fasting. You tell yourself, I'm not gonna eat for 36 hours. And it's kind of scary. The night before, you might be a little nervous. And when you're fasting, the first thing, just like with training, your body starts to send you the hunger signals. Then your mind starts playing tricks. Why don't you eat? Why do you need to fast? What's the point? But ultimately, it is your will that allows you to overcome the mind and the body. So fasting, a very good way to train yourself, to train how to overcome these limitations. Long distance endurance events. So for me, I really like cycling. I actually haven't done it for a while just because I've been moving. My bike is in a box, but cycling is a really good tool because it's not so hard on your joints. It's quite low impact, but you can really push yourself for a long time. So through cycling, especially if you're climbing hills, you really train yourself how to overcome your mental limits and how to overcome your physical limits. So between calisthenics, cycling, fasting, you can get very strong. Now, yes, you're not going to squat 500 pounds with these things, but if you did want to squat 500 pounds, the lessons that you got from these methods of gaining strength will surely carry over to that as well. You might have to change the techniques a little bit, but you will be able to do it. So, in a nutshell, strength, it's not just a physical attribute. It's not a mental attribute. It's actually an attribute of the will. It's your ability to tell your body not to complain, to quiet down the noise in the mind, because the mind is the weak link. So your job is to be the boss of this whole system. You got your system here, you have your body, you have your mind, and you got you. It is your job to realize that you are in charge, you are in command of this whole system. Once you realize this, you will start to unlock new ways. You'll be able to push yourself way further than you ever thought. I thought about some other challenges, like sleep deprivation on purpose. It's a little bit extreme, and I haven't done it yet. But of course, our body needs sleep. Our mind needs to rest. Now imagine the strength of will you could gather by not sleeping for a few days and without caffeine. That's a little bit too extreme for me, but it is something to think about. These type of practices, they've been around for a very long time. They've been done by many religions all around the world, and we can learn from them, whether we're religious or not. It doesn't matter, because we want to master ourselves, and we master ourselves by not listening to the body, not listening to the mind, but being in control. So that is very important. And this is one of the main reasons that for me, calisthenics, it's above the gym. Because when you go to the gym, there's actually a limit, a physical limit to what you can do, right? Especially if you're training with heavy poundages. If you're gonna do a 5-rep max, it doesn't matter how strong your will is. You're not gonna do another 2-3 reps. Like, there's just a physical limit of how much force your muscles can produce. But when you're doing calisthenics, especially high volume, it is about your will, because you could do more sets. You could do more push-ups. So you get to flex that inner muscle, that inner strength muscle. And that for me is more important than anything else. We're here in order to get stronger from the inside, and then people will see you. You'll be performing all kinds of cool things on the outside. But it didn't start on the outside. It all came from the inside. So my message today, it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter if you can't do a single push-up. Everybody starts somewhere. You need to start training your will, start training your inner strength, and over time, your inner strength will express itself through outer strength, and people will know. That's why when you see somebody and they're in very good shape, you automatically gain respect for this person. That's how it works for me. Maybe it's different for somebody else. But when I see somebody who's lean, they have muscle mass, and it's very important, they look natural, I immediately gain respect for them because I know what it takes to get to that level. And it's not that I respect just the physical appearance and the physical strength. I respect the struggle that they had to go through in order to achieve this state. And that is what it's all about. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the video. Take it easy. Peace.